News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow.
Karen, we begin with the latest from the Middle East. Israel has carried out new attacks on Lebanon as the U.S. prepares fresh economic sanctions on Iran. The Israeli military says it killed senior Hezbollah commander Abu Hassan Allah in retaliation for a strike that injured 3 Israeli soldiers on Saturday. We get more from Bloomberg Middle East correspondent Abir Abu Omar in Dubai.
These are the deadliest strikes against the southern part of Lebanon since that MOU was reached in June, which the expiry date for that, if you were to hold it into account, given the latest escalations we've seen in the region, mean anything. That deadline is due later today. We don't know what exactly is going to happen once it expires.
Bloomberg's Abir Abu Omar reports Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is promising to roll out an economic isolation plan against Iran this week. Robert Harward is a former deputy commander for U.S. Central Command.
The pressure will be increased on Iran. The negotiations, the MOUs, the ceasefires have gone nowhere, as anything has with Iran in the last 47 years. So in this case, they really go ratchet up the economic sanctions, which is a very sound strategy.
Former CENTCOM Deputy Commander Robert Harward was a guest on Bloomberg this weekend, heard each Saturday and Sunday on Bloomberg Radio and television. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Iran has used the recent lull in fighting to prepare for an even broader confrontation. The report says it has given the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps greater influence over the military, accelerated missile and drone production, and strengthened coordination with proxy militias.
And Nathan, as the confrontation continues with Iran, the U.S. may be looking to scale back in the Asia-Pacific. President Trump said he's told the Pentagon to substantially reduce joint military exercises with South Korea. That's as a 10-day drill with some 18,000 South Korean troops is set to kick off today. We get more from Bloomberg Chief Asia correspondent Rosalind Matheson.
It's a bit of a mystery as to why. Perhaps someone just mentioned this in passing to him, that these drills were kicking off and they are quite large in scale, and that got his attention and therefore his ire over the level of the US military commitment to these drills, which is not small in scale.
Bloomberg's Roz Matheson reports the president posted the announcement on social media saying the drills are too costly and sent an inappropriate signal to North Korea. He cited his, quote, very good relationship with leader Kim Jong-un. South Korea has declined to get involved in the U.S. war with Iran, but it says this week's joint drills will go on as planned.
Let's turn to markets now, Karen. Futures are mixed with tech stocks leading the way as we kick off a new trading week. Documents seen by Bloomberg News show that Anthropic is telling its prospective investors second quarter revenue jumped at least 14-fold compared to the same period a year ago.
Nathan, the dollar is dropping for a third day as traders reduce bets on Federal Reserve interest rate hikes following weaker than expected U.S. economic data last week. There's a less than 30% chance that the Fed will raise its policy rate in September. That's down from about 70% odds at the end of last month. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs says market bets on rate hikes are still too aggressive, given that inflation in the world's biggest economy is cooling.
And this week, Karen, earnings are going to be in focus. We hear from several big retailers this week, including Walmart, Home Depot, and Target. Let's get a preview from Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet.
Consumers are still spending, albeit more prudently, in the face of higher energy costs, cooling wage growth, and a softer jobs market. Tuesday, we hear from Home Depot. Bloomberg Intelligence says same-store sales should rise for a fifth straight quarter, defying a housing slowdown and anemic DIY demand. Wednesday, it's Target. Citigroup says the retailer could raise 2026 guidance on a potential second quarter beat. And then Thursday, we hear from Walmart. Citi says Walmart will likely score an earnings beat for the quarter and keep its full-year profit outlook unchanged. In New York, Charlie Pellet, Bloomberg Radio.
All right, Charlie, thank you. In Asia, China's economy got off to a sluggish start in the second half. Industrial output rose 4.5% from a year earlier. missing forecasts while retail sales growth slowed to 0.6%. The figure raises the pressure on Beijing to revive domestic spending and keep its annual growth goal within reach.
In Europe, Karen, JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon is warning the new Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK, John Healey, not to raise bank taxes. In an introductory call last week about his firm's UK operations, Dimon emphasized the need for governments to better support economies, including through tax policy. The Financial Times first reported details of this call. It says Dimon also pointed to a decline in finance jobs in New York, which he blamed in part on that city's tax burden. Laura Noonan is a senior finance reporter for Bloomberg News.
To be honest, I think we would very much expect that as soon as Jamie Dimon had an audience with the Chancellor, he would in fact make those points. He has been very public on it, so it's entirely consistent that he would share his public views privately with the Chancellor. As to whether it will actually change anything, I mean, we all have long known that, Jamie Dimon and other bank CEOs are not fans of bank tax, and that's essentially what Jamie told the new Chancellor during their call last week. So in that sense, we would not expect bankers to be fond of bank tax, and we would expect them to warn that if the UK implements bank taxes, there will be a negative impact, not just on banking, but on the economy as a whole.
And Bloomberg senior finance reporter Laura Noonan says that call comes as bumper bank profits fuel speculation that Prime Minister Andy Burnham's government could increase taxes.
And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moscow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.